Amoonguss, the mushroom Pokemon. Amoonguss has trans rights, and it will rain down its mighty spore upon any transphobe that may cross its path.
This is a David and Goliath story, with a twist. This is a story of a rookie Pokémon trainer battling against the world champion and YouTube celebrity Wolfey VGC. A story about trans rights and about this little mushroom Pokémon called Amoonguss. Amoonguss? And to be honest, please don't cancel me, but I never liked this Pokémon that much. It's originally a Pokémon from Black and White, and I was never crazy about the designs in Unova. I think it's like a sleeker Parasect, but nothing very special about it, except for one thing. It is one of the most popular Pokémon in competitive VGC ever. And I think that's where my dislike of it comes from. There are literally more than 1,000 Pokémon in the games, but Game Freak is not the best at balancing the competitive side of it. So you always usually see the same Pokémon in every tournament and in every winning team as well. I don't like Amoonguss that much, just like I don't like Landorus or Incineroar, because they are always there. And I mean, it's not overly used because its stats are amazing or because it's a very mighty attacker. What makes Amoonguss shine boils down to being an excellent user of one single move: Spore. Unlike Sleep Powder or Hypnosis, Spore is the only move that can put other Pokémon to sleep with 100% accuracy. And in Pokémon Championships, that is essential in stopping the opponents for a few turns. And regardless of what your Mandela effect tells you, there is no such thing as a sleep clause in official Pokémon Championships. So in theory, you can put the entire opposing team to sleep while you Dragon Dance your Gyarados and sweep the opponent down. Having access to Spore, alongside moves like Rage Powder and a good defensive typing, is what makes Amoonguss a great supporting Pokémon for competitive teams. And that is probably the reason why 2016 World Champion Wolfe Glick decided to bring it on his team to the Orlando Regionals back in April. If you watch anything barely related to competitive Pokémon on this red website, you know who Wolfey is. He's basically the poster child for Pokémon VGC in the West, playing since 2011, winning 9 regional titles as of April 2024, and 1 World Championship. Even more, he has made his own personal goal to make Pokémon VGC more accessible to everyone, having his own strategic breakdowns, battle guides, gimmick participations, and overall fun stuff available on his YouTube channel with more than 1.2 million subscribers. So why am I even introducing him? Well, if you are good at math, you might have noticed that 1.2 million is 24,000 times more subscribers than the humble 500 I have on this little channel. I just started this YouTube journey a few months ago, and I have a lot of other videos about Pokemon, pop culture, and transgender thingies, I guess. Please consider leaving a like and subscribing to help me sail the treacherous waters of the YouTube algorithm. But back to the Orlando Regionals. Wolfey arrived at the tournament with his trusty Amoonguss, alongside loads of powerful Pokemon and heavy hitters: Urshifu, Incineroar, Fluttermane, Landorus, and Tornadus. A creative team? Not that much, but a rock-solid one, filled with VGC all-time popular choices. And you know, the World Champ diff ensured that he made it all the way to the finals. And here's where we meet another character in the story, Neil Patel. And to be honest, before this whole thing broke down, I didn't really know him. I remember reading some articles about SEO by Neil Patel when I was in college, but I'm quite sure it's not the same guy. Our Neil Patel is a Canadian Pokemon player who, as far as I can tell, started playing professionally in championships last year. You could think, this is an underdog story, right? The newcomer in his first ever final, fencing against a veteran champion. Young Neil against the world. Well, it could be, if not for a screenshot that Twitter user @ShadeKirby321 shared, showing Neil saying on Discord that I support gay and lesbian, but I will never support people changing their gender. That's mental illness, MIO. I would never voice that opinion though, he said, voicing his opinion. I mean, it's just an opinion, right? Doesn't hurt anybody. Well, as a person who has actually changed their gender, I can safely say that not only that is a very shitty thing to say, mind you, by a person who is a video game player and not a doctor. Not that if a doctor said it, it would be any better, but I would like to reinforce that I am very sound of mind and body, thank you. Okay, seriously, I won't even counter-argue because Do I need to? And I swear, you don't want me to. I'm an aspiring video essayist, and if I started talking about this, I would inevitably turn this video into a 45-minute long deep dive about what the hell is even a mental illness and who gets the right to define that. And that's not where we are going today. This is a video about a mushroom. What's important here is that the screenshot leaking left a lot of people in the Pokemon community pissed, and rightfully so. So yeah, this was the guy battling Wolfey in the final, and dear stranger online, what a battle that was. Neil brought Urshifu, Rillaboom, Incineroar, Chien-Pao, Raging Bolt, and Ogerpon to the fight. If you are paying attention, you see that 2 of those are also on Wolfey's team. Yay for diversity in VGC. But did you notice who Neil didn't bring to the fight? Exactly. Trans icon Amoonguss. And you know, a VGC match is a best of 3. Neil won the first battle and Wolfey won the second. It was all gonna be decided in the final battle. Neil sent out Ogerpon and Rillaboom, Wolfey sent out Incineroar and Amoonguss. After using Intimidate to lower Neil's attack, Wolfey switched Incineroar to Tornadus. Neil's Fake Out and Focus Energy were an attempt to set up, but Amoonguss was ready to shine with a Sludge Bomb on Ogerpon that took 70% of her health and immediately landed a poison. This day was for Amoonguss what the final of the 2002 World Cup was to Ronaldo. Pure inspiration. Ogerpon protected and Tornadus missed a Bleak Wind Storm that could be decisive. Then, Rillaboom went for Woodhammer, not very effective on Tornadus, but still a lot of damage. This makes Neil double down 2 attacks on Tornadus to take it down before it could do anything really. But Amoonguss got a revenge attack that took Ogerpon down. 3 versus 3. Chien-Pao came in, and it was a very big threat to Amoonguss. Incineroar came back in. Neil underestimates Amoonguss and reads Incineroar as the biggest threat on the field, and doubled down on it again. Incineroar resists and lands a Kamikaze Flare Blitz on Rillaboom, getting the one-hit KO, but going down in the process. Amoonguss still has time to do what it does best, put Chien-Pao to sleep. And now, it's 2 versus 2. Urshifu, one of the most broken Pokemon in existence, comes out, while Wolfey sends Landorus. Chien-Pao is asleep, but goes Terra Stellar, while Landorus goes Terra Steel. A super effective Earth Power makes Chien-Pao hang on to its Focus Sash, and there is nothing to protect it from being taken down by Amoonguss. However, Urshifu takes down Landorus, and this is it. 1 versus 1. On one side, Urshifu, one of the most powerful legendary Pokemon ever created, a mythological martial arts master, as devastating and swift as a running river, against a small mushroom buddy who believes in trans rights, to define the championship. Urshifu uses Surging Strike, a broken AF move that always lands 3 critical hits in a row and can bypass even Protect. And Amoonguss takes it like a champ, a world champ div. And then, it's nap time for Urshifu. And the way that sleep works in Pokemon is that the Pokemon stays asleep and can't move from 1 to 3 turns. If Urshifu manages to wake up early, all might be lost for our little mushroom. Sludge Bomb goes on and takes less than half of Urshifu's health. And on the first turn of sleep, it wakes up and immediately strikes Amoonguss again. At this point, I am exactly like this person in the back, like really. Citrus Berry helps Amoonguss heal back, but if their health is low enough, Amoonguss could faint to a close combat. It hits a Sludge Bomb, and Urshifu is down to yellow health. Surging Strikes. Spore. Everybody's super tense. This time, Urshifu stays asleep and Sludge Bomb brings it down to 6 HP points. If Urshifu wakes up now, it could definitely take down Amoonguss with 1 close combat. If it stays asleep, Amoonguss gets the final blow. And then, this happens.
We saw it wake up after 1 turn earlier. Will it wake up again? This is the turn that will decide your Orlando Regional Champion! And it is the Urshifu close combat into that Amoonguss! It holds on! It holds on through that attack! Amoonguss should have plenty of time to return and knock out with that Sludge Bomb, and Wolfe Glick is now your 2023 and 2024 Orlando Regional Champion!
What What an insane endgame there, Gabby. Wolf played that so incredibly well.
Shivers. Shivers, really? It was super crazy. The clip you just watched went immediately viral on Twitter because of how popular Wolfey is, and also because of how close this battle was. Just like the leaked message from Neil also went viral. People started, deservingly, to hail Amoonguss as a new trans icon. Twitter was flooded with Amoonguss art, and Wolfey even made a very good Brute Bonnet joke. And the moral of the story is that trans rights are human rights and good always wins. Mainly if good is grass and poison type, resisting even the most broken legendary water fighting typing. There was nothing that Urshifu could have done there, but Amoonguss also wasn't offensive enough to threaten Urshifu. This had to be long and drawn out. Any early wakes or a critical hit from Urshifu could have turned the match the other way. After this whole story happened, Neil apologized and announced he was leaving YouTube and Pokémon VGC. He said there was no place for him in this community. He apologized for everything he said and announced he is looking for counseling and support. And well, good for him, I think. He may be young, but he's still an adult, and I think it is important that he feels responsibility over what he said and what he did. And if it matters anything, I do feel that his apology came from a place of sincerity. I really wish him all the best and that he can grow into a version of himself he can be proud of. I honestly have no intention of spilling hate against him in this video. This is me telling a cool story, talking about an electrifying match. The main character of this story is not him, it's our little mushroom buddy, this wonderful creation of nature. And I think it's due time that I make some apologies as well. Dear Amoonguss, I'm sorry I disliked you. I was blind, but now I see. You are a hero and very cool, and you are great at sporing people. And as an apology for underestimating you, I will shiny hunt you. Right now. Yeah, this whole story got me thinking a bit about the Pokemon community, and really, I have some questions I am really interested in, but I don't have any real answers for them. I have the feeling that a lot of queer people are interested in Pokemon, but I can't point out exactly why. Is Pokemon specifically a queer-friendly series? Why do we have literal drag queen Pokemon team nights in gay clubs? What makes it so there is such a huge intersection on this Venn diagram? Is it because Pokemon has a huge amount of queer-coded characters like Grusha and Wallace? Is Pokemon gender-neutral approach to protagonists and creatures themselves more inviting for queer fans? Is just that enough to make it attractive for the gays? Or is it just popular and then, of course, LGBT people will come along for the ride? I'm asking just because, I don't know, when I see some new trans creator, including me, they will weirdly often have a bunch of Pokemon plushies around. Or I will find out that the person who runs one of my favorite Pokemon pages is actually gay. Is it just a coincidence? Is it confirmation bias because my algorithm shows me gay people and Pokemon people and also both? I can't really point it out, but if you have any theories, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Maybe I will even write a video about this in the future. I guess what's important right now is that I'm very glad the majority of the community, including some very important voices, stood up immediately to speak against the leaked transphobic message. It is something that makes me happy to be part of this community, and I'm sure that Amoonguss would be proud too. Yeah, don't forget to check my other videos about trend stuff or about Pokemon. Funnily enough, this is my first video about both, so let's see how it goes. I hope to see you back on this channel soon.